Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, traders and investors. Welcome to Tuesday's March 26th edition of Benzinga's PreMarket Prep. I'm your co-host, Joel Elconin, along with Dennis Dick. Spencer Israel is at Disney World, and we have Chris Dear Scalise sitting in as the I messed that up again too. Chris, our assistant producer, helping out today. Got a lot to cover on today's show. Talk about the Apple event, the price action down yesterday, up today. Trump asked court to erase Obamacare. Not a big deal on that one. Stock's not moving, reacting to that. Big news out of Bed Bath & Beyond. We will cover that. Samsung created chaos in the chip market yesterday. We'll let Dennis comment on that in a few minutes. Earnings. Not much going on, folks, from this morning. Carnival Cruise Lines and Cron. We have a few after the close. Shoe Carnival, KBH. Not big earnings. Few ratings to talk about. At 8:35, we will be joined by the one and only Nic Chahine. He is going to give here some comments on the overall market. S&P futures up 15 points at 28.22, just trading off the highs of the session. Folks, I have no resistance in the market. 28.27 and a quarter was my weekly number. That's only 5 points away. Crude trading range, double top up at the 60-50 area, double bottom at the 58 area, going back towards 60. Gold down 10 sticks. Just cannot get over 3 and a quarter. Or 13 and a quarter, silver in the red by 13.7 cents here at 15.43. And I actually, on this computer, I'm in the office, I have Bitcoin trading up $20 at 38.90.
I didn't get to my 4,200, eh? My dream never came true.
Not yet. Not yet. The delisting, we talked about that on the show the other day. The delisting on the SIBO, but Dennis, you had some fireworks after the close yesterday. I can't really get a quote on the stock, but why don't we bring up what got hit the most on that Samsung news? LRCX?
Well, give us the news first, everybody. So last night, 7:00 p.m., we get a major headline breaking, and that's Samsung warrants on the first quarter. Do you have the actual, and if you go to the Pro, do you have that?
I am actually looking here at that symbol. I am putting it up. And
it's always tricky when you get these ADR symbols that don't hardly trade over here, but I would assume it was going to get hit last night on that. And I would assume it's obviously already bounced back because I don't see any chip stocks trading down. But even if you don't, so basic bottom line, Samsung warns last night, Q1, it's going to be weak. And they started hitting all the chips over here last night. Apple was trading up after hours because the market was up after hours. Apple starts going down. Apple's not a chip, but it moves with Samsung sometimes. But then they were starting to hit LRCX. LRCX, bring up the chart of this last night, goes all the way down to $176 on this news. 4,000 shares traded down there too. Micron was getting hit. Applied Materials started getting hit. Basically anything that was chip related was getting hit last night on the Samsung warning. So you're thinking, oh, this could come in and you could have a little bit of a tech wreck going on. No, because this is a bull market, guys. You got to have the bull hat on, which we've been talking about. We've had the bears ranting when they had the 400-point down day 2 days ago. We were not ranting here. We kept our bull hat on. Why? Because they come in and they buy these dips. When you have Samsung warning, that's a major concern, and obviously everybody shrugs it off. Those are signs right back to where we were in the beginning of 2018. It doesn't matter. Honey badger market. And we're back in that again here, back to the honey badger market. Yes, we get pullbacks. Yes, we will get opportunities on pullbacks. Those are buying opportunities, in my opinion, still not selling opportunities. Everybody who sold in December when we went down 20% in 3 weeks or 15%, whatever it was significant. And on some stocks, it was a lot more. It's still scrambling to get back in, and they're buying every dip. So it's very difficult to just come in and get your bear hat on every time you have a 300-point down day. I mean, putting it in perspective, we're up 20% on the year,
Quarter.
basically on the S&P. If you take where we started the year, almost 20%. You get a 1.5% pullback, and I'm reading headlines from Barron's, like I said yesterday morning, of a coming recession. I'm like, what are they talking about? We're down 1%. Give me a break. And here we are. We're coming right back again. I'm still going to say I think we're at all-time highs by June. I don't see any signs. Yes, some of the earnings, a few sectors were weak, but overall, the economy's still booming. You have the Fed's back. What's the reason? Give me, chat. Give me a reason to get bearish, because I can't find one.
And we will end the show with waiting for the chat to give us something bearish.
There's a lot of people who are bearish. There's been a lot of people who have been bearish.
Well,
I'm trying to really find the reason. I would love, a reason to get bearish here. I just don't see the reason. I don't see what's taking us down. Not. There's going to be something eventually, but when I see some stuff like Samsung last night and they shrug it off, it makes me just think that the bull's full on back. It feels like the beginning of 2018 again. Well, as a trade deal, there's lots of things you can worry about there, but they've shrugged all that off. It's a honey badger market again. The honey badger is back.
All right. And, the inverted yield curve, which we kind of talked about yesterday, predicting a recession. But on the other hand, if interest rates are going down eventually and no rate hikes, lower interest rates are good for the market, right? Because you're better off in the market, supposedly, better returns.
Well, lower interest rates are always good for the market. They're not good for the financials. So, and that's why the financials have massively, and I mean massively, lagged here. We've talked about that already. It's been a really ugly 3 days for the financials. Different story, though. Like, different story when you're talking about, and I'm just trying to trade out of stuff here too and try to cover shorts.
Let me tell you what George.
But look at Bank of America. It did not bounce yesterday with the overall market. It is up this morning. TLT is going to be everything for the banks right now. And you look, TLT is trading down 74 cents. That's good or actually it was a bad tick. Trading down 47 cents. So that's good for the banks this morning. I don't know if it's short-lived. If you're looking at stuff to buy, there's better stuff to buy right now than the banks.
Good quote from George here. Difference between being bearish from the standpoint of reality versus price action. And the price action is bullish here, right? So you have to, the way we're,
and that's what we follow on this show. And I think, you do too, Joel. We both follow the price action. And are we, eventually going to start moving down? I mean, until you start breaking trend, until you start getting some blood in the streets, I don't see it in the price action. And I'm not an economist. I'm not going to sit here and analyze everything from an economic perspective and tell you where I think this market's going. I'm going to read price action. I've been doing it 20 years that way. I've paid my bills that way. I'm going to continue to do it that way, reading the price action. The price action itself is not telling me recession. And maybe, eventually an economist is right. I mean, there's always going to be one that's bullish, one that's bearish, going to point out the one that's right. But like I said yesterday on the show, it's very difficult to play economist and predict the next market move, because the next market move is usually more unpredictable. But price action tells you a lot. And the price action from last night, another sign that tells me, and when you get a company like Samsung warning, you would think, oh, that's going to put a little bit of, heat on at least the chips the next day. Couldn't even put heat on the chips. I look at Micron this morning. Micron's trading up 1.58%. Applied Materials trading up. LRCX, after trading down $3 last night, is up $1 here this morning. So whoever sold it, Nervous Nelly, sold it last night at 176, 4,000 shares. Big regrets here now, because it's trading back up at 180 immediately. So it's just telling you, the price action is telling me higher.
All right. The chat's coming back. The jobs report was not that bullish last report, but they do a lot of revisions in that, mentioning the yield curve, Russian planes in Venezuela, tariffs, overvalued.
Sure. We can always point all that stuff out. But what's the price action telling you? We're back up here. And okay, as a high end, was that it? Was that the all-time high? Was that the washout high there? And upside capitulation 3 days ago, and then we had the 400-point down day. Was that the high? I don't think so.
Nope.
So I'm keeping the bull hat on. If we start breaching, and like I said on the show yesterday, for me to really get bearish, I want to see us take out at least the low of from the last 2 weeks, which was 272 on the SPY. We're not even close to that. And you look at all these other cloud stocks that, they were down yesterday, $3-4. They get bought right back up again too. Just the price action telling me there's hungry buyers out there still. And that's why I'm going to keep the bull hat on here, at least temporarily. Maybe this is going to be the rip to sell. I'm not saying come in and buy the market. One thing to tell you, and we'll say it again, is when the market's up, 190 points, or the Dow's up 190 points, those aren't the days to buy. It's the days that, if you're in an uptrend, you're buying dips. If you're in a downtrend, you're selling rips. I'm looking for dips to buy. This is not a dip this morning. This is a rip. So I'm not coming in here and adding stocks to my portfolio this morning. I was be adding stocks, into the rip, into the dip there a couple days ago, and I started nibbling into a few more stocks there again. We know I bought Caesars on the dip there a few days ago, but there was a few other ones. I bought two more stocks, I think, on that 400-point Dow day. I bought two more. I'm trying to remember which ones. I'd have to go look at my portfolio. Isn't that funny? I go over 100 stocks, so you start forgetting, what you got in the portfolio. But I did just buy two more a higher beta plays too. I can't remember. I'll have to look it up.
Let me cover just a little bit of price action here, and I just want to cover the Micron here. As you meant, it did get hit, but if you're waiting for a gap fill in that one yesterday from the earnings report, we'd like to talk about gaps. You did get that reset. I mean, a little bit more than you wanted. 40.75 filled the gap. You went down a nice psychological $40 level, 40.06, and got a nice bounce off that. The other stock that I wanted to mention on a gap fill here, and I nibbled a little bit. Bank America, I've only been waiting since, when was this report? Since the middle of January to fill the earnings gap. And it was holding up pretty well when the market went down to the lows. So I just nibbled on that for a little bit of a swing trade, trading up 31 cents. We will see what happens at yesterday's high at 27.38. But that got hit abnormally hard. I think we're going to float back up to 28 in this one. I know the luster is kind of off the banking sector because of the inverted yield curve and rates not going up, but just a technical
You think it's just overdone now? And it probably is.
Yep. Just a rebound trading range, exceeded the bottom of the trading range. So that's just taking a look at those couple stocks here. Let's move on. Let's just talk Apple real quick. Hit it during the event. And, did we get a gap fill in that? No, it didn't have a gap, but hit it during the event. I mean, they're trying a bunch of things here. You got to give Mr. Cook credit for that.
Yeah, well, I'll give Mr. Cook credit. He brought out some guns yesterday. I mean, there was some big names. Steven Spielberg coming out, Jennifer Aniston comes out with Oprah. I mean, they're going full on attacking Netflix here. They hit it yesterday. Kramer said they're going to hit it no matter what. I kind of agreed with that. It was a good call by him. They did hit it. But today they're buying it back. And I think, they're, a little bit of fear coming in. Oh, you're going to drop a lot of money. You're going to do, your own, production here. You're going to drop a lot of money on all these celebrities, producing content for you. So that's a little bit scary. But at the same time, they can produce some good stuff. So I think this morning people are looking, it's like, okay, they're being aggressive here. Maybe we do need a little bit of aggression from Apple. They're trying a lot of different things. Maybe a little bit too aggressive, maybe for my liking. I'm a value guy, and we're going to go start paying Oprah and stuff to produce content. Maybe. I'm torn on it. I'm still long Apple. I still believe in Apple going forward. I'm kind of torn on the event. I don't know what to think about it. But I'll tell you this morning, the analysts are seeming to like it because we had multiple analysts raising the price targets on it.
Yep. You had two.
I believe Piper. Who else?
Piper and Morgan Stanley, I believe, raised their price targets on it. I thought I put that in the doc here. So, yeah, this is
Canaccord too. Canaccord raised their price target from 185 to 230. I'm just trying to quickly look at it. UBS raised their price target from 185 to 215. So you're talking a lot of analysts here, commentary here. I mean, this was their day to come out and raise their price targets, I guess, here. So I'm just looking through my Apple stream, and there's just a billion headlines. So I'm just trying to see if there's any other price targets that jump out at me. But it looks like 4 analysts raising their price target to me.
On Twitter or StockTwit? What are you looking at the stream on? You said you were looking
I'm looking at all the news feeds.
Okay.
News feeds.
I'll just give one number, 191.49. That was your high in, I believe, in yesterday's session. No, a little higher than that. 191.98. So there's your first resistance point in Apple, trading up 266, just kind of inching its way up there. If in fact you clear that 192 barrier, man, not a lot. The high close of the move has been 195.09. So I don't know if we're going to add 3 points above that, but the chart, that's what you're telling you. The high of the move was made on Friday at 197.69. You come this far, why not go to 200, right? So that's the covering Apple here. Let's talk about a stock in the news. I'm not sure if the Reverend is one of the activists here, but you have 3 activist hedge funds plan a proxy fight to replace all 12 current board members at Bed Bath & Beyond. Raymond James is biting on this one. They upgraded the stock to a strong buy and a $20 price target. Dennis, I know you're licking your chops on this one.
What stock?
BBBY.
I don't know. It's up 24%. Okay, so let's put it in perspective. And we're in a bull market, yes, but this stock, bring up the weeklies or monthlies. This is in a clear downtrend here. There's a lot of people who have taken a lot of heat on it. It's down from $80 back in 2015. Now you get a rip up here on 24% trading up. And what is this headline? Speaking, I don't even follow Bed Bath & Beyond anymore. It's usually not worth my time. What's the headline?
It is 3 activist hedge funds are trying to replace all 12 current board members, and Raymond James upgraded the stock to a strong buy and a $20 price target. $20 price target. I'm
from
not sure.
1387 up to 1725, so it's halfway there in one day.
Yep.
This reminds me of GameStop when we had the big GameStop pop. This isn't as bad of a story as GameStop, but it's not a good story either. This is a stock that's in a clear downtrend, stock that's ripping to a ridiculous amount, up 25% here this morning. If I was long this thing, I'd be happy as hell and hitting the sell button. That's my opinion, just my opinion. I actually think it's a shorting opportunity. I think the stock, when we look at it in a couple months, can be right back down. But it's hard to short these things. You were making a good point on the pre-show. I mean, it's up 24%. Could it go up 30? I mean, it was up 15. It was probably a selling opportunity. It's up 25 now. These things get silly, and we are still in a bull market. So I just think this isn't the turnaround story here happening for Bed Bath & Beyond. They got bigger issues. So I think it's another selling opportunity in my opinion.
All right. We are gone straight up since we talked on the pre-market show. Now trading up 25%.
Oh, we were up 21. So we went up another 3% since we were talking about it. So I said it was a selling opportunity on the pre-market show, which is what me and Joel, that's just our discussion about it when it was up 21%. So I'd already be 3% under heat. But if I'm on my paper trade.
Okay.
But I'm not, it's hard to short these things, guys. I'm just saying, if you're long this thing and you think, okay, this is a story, this is a turnaround story, I'm going to make some money on this now, you're making the money this morning. I'd be ringing the register, in my opinion.
All right. And boy, we are just getting into a very, very interesting area. Since the stock took a major tumble in September, your higher rebound comes in at 17.16. So you're talking a long time it's taken to recover back over $17. And now you're over 17.29. So as long as above stays 17, I'll keep my bull hat on. And then on the upside, it gets really interesting because you've got a gap fill up to 1875. The close on that day was 1881. So if you really,
I will say a bet with you.
No, I'm not
taking a bet on Bed Bath & Beyond. This stock is under $16 within a month.
I'm not taking it. No, I'm not.
So I think your bull hat is going to come off very quickly on Bed Bath & Beyond. But I agree. I mean, if it can stay up above 17, that's taking out resistance. So if you are chasing this move this morning, I have lost a lot of money chasing stocks, especially stocks on, that are basically on hope trades right now. If this gets back under 17, I agree with you.
Short interest?
Up those highs.
Short
scary
interest.
To be long.
Do we have a lot of stuff? Shorts getting stuffed here? Dennis, I don't have.
Oh, there's a good point. Yeah, what's a short interest? I can go try to grab it. If somebody in the chat's got it quicker than me, just feel free to post it. But yeah, I bet you are getting. I bet you this is same store style. This is the GameStop trade all over again to a certain. I got 31%. So that's significant. That's why you're seeing the shorts are getting. Same thing with GameStop though. It happened.
Yep.
And eventually, the shorts puke a few puke it out, change your hands. GameStop was 35. and then it came back down. The GameStop, what was the GameStop headline that drove it up that day? They were going to be sold or something, or there was rumors.
Exploring strategic alternatives.
Yeah, strategic alternatives, like the buzzword. Well, you can see 2 months later how that worked out. The thing's $10. So I think Bed Bath & Beyond's going to follow a similar fate here. I think we're going to be back down in a couple months to $11, $12.
What if the activists said that they are going to cut the size of the stores in half, every store? The stores are just too big. What if that's part of
They're huge stores. You get lost in those stores. They got like the maze to run through. Like you start and then you go and then you're like, it's towels and all this other stuff. And you get lost. I've been in those stores a couple times and they're right. They're big stores.
Too big.
Is there ways to try to improve it? Yeah, but it's, when you're cutting sizes, these are desperate times, guys. This isn't like a business that's thriving. I like to buy stocks in businesses that are thriving. This is the opposite of that. So yes, is it way down from the $80? Could it get back up into the 20? I mean, they can do anything, but I just think there's better places for your money in my opinion.
1.5 million shares have changed hands so far on this one. So getting some good volume on the move. I will just talk about that gap area. For one, if you are long it and you want to look for some continuation, just keep an eye on the pre-market high. Pre-market high currently stands at 1739. So if a lot of times you get that, opens right into the pre-market high, and then, that stands for the session. So keep an eye on this one. The hot words trading at 9:29 and 29 seconds to see if, that 1739 holds up in the session. Someone popped in the chat here with a stock, and it is, I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong. The symbol, Dennis, is ALDX. ALDX for you that are following at home. This stock is trading up 52% on one
biotech mover of the day.
Biotech mover of the day. Let me go to my Benzinga Pro here. Trading higher after the company's phase 3 trial for allergic conjunctivitis met its primary endpoint. So
big pop.
What is that?
These things get crazy. These things get crazy. I've lost a lot of money trying to short pops on biotech stocks. I don't chase them. I typically just don't trade them. This, again, the hardest stuff to trade because it's going to be wide. It's going to be wild. It's going to be like, okay, let's say you come in here and you buy at 1109. Okay, well, they smack out all the 1090, 1080, 1070. Now you're looking at it, you're like, oh, is it going to come back? It's really, really difficult to trade this stuff. I like stuff that is more correlated with the market, stuff that is more predictable. I have no edge in something like this. It's just, basically luck. You come in here, you make money, yeah, there's some tape reading involved and you can get in there and read the tape on anything, but this stuff is hard to trade, guys.
And boy, I'll tell you, the street leading the wrong way here. This has come down from 950 just at the beginning of the March, made a new low for the move yesterday on a big red candle, trading up in the pre-market. The whoops trade came in at 1294. That was at 7:45 this morning. Pulled back substantially from that high. So if you want another target, that's where they took it to in the pre-market. Clean breakout here on the monthly charts. I'm not seeing anything until 13.99. But first things first, let's see if it can get back and even get close to that 12.94 high. And you got pretty good volume trading in this one. So there's your mover of the day in the biotech sector. It is 823. S&P's current high 2375. Trading up 14 and a quarter, 28.2150. Let's move to some earnings from today. I didn't see much after the close. Dennis.
Red Hat reported last night, and I shorted it. And it's not very often I sell the high tick, but I did. I got some. I believe last night's high was 182.99. Am I correct?
Let me pull it up. And on my platform, I have a spike to 183.
Oh, I didn't get it. So anyways, I got 182.99 short. So I didn't quite get the high. So sometimes these things and algorithms get silly. I'm like, it's getting taken over by IBM. I don't care what the earnings report is. It's up $1.50 on it. It's just not going to move that much. Yeah. So anyway, so I sold that short last night. I covered it last night because it came right back in. I was able to cover 180.170 or 180.180 somewhere in there. So the trade worked out well. Quickly, like within 5 minutes, I was able to cover for $1.20. But this just goes to show you the algorithms aren't always right. People, algos programmed, oh, Red Hat beats, buy. Red That's getting taken over by IBM for cash. It's not going to move that much. So, and it gives you a dollar and a half spike on an earnings report that really doesn't matter. That's an opportunity. So anyways, I wish I would have been able to get more up there. Not very much traded up there. I was trying to get more, but anyways, it's not very often I get the highs or almost the high there. So I was pretty proud of myself on that.
Yep, good trade. You did have some daily highs in that area, not quite the all-time high, 183.54. But and I'm sure you weren't looking at this, but you had one after the deal was announced. You had one.
I was looking to sell it just under. I figured there'd be some size, probably at 183. Like I was just looking to basically try to sell any spike. I was trying to sell more at 182.5 too afterwards. Like it went straight back down, went straight up on the initial. I was out there, so it wasn't like I was playing it. I had my order out there ahead of time because sometimes these things will get silly, and I think it probably got me on the initial spike. So I got short basically off the number. And then it comes right back in.
Look at this tame rally in IBM, Dennis. I mean, is it just small ranges and just inching up every day? Look at this for $140 stock. Just grind. It's just grinding higher. Not huge up days. High of the move in IBM 142.12. High close of the rebound 141.44. So IBM trying to find a home above $140.
That doesn't look that great to me, that chart, though. I mean, it looks like a lot of the other charts, the S&P. So yeah, you can still say we're bull market, uptrend still intact. So it's hard to get short it. But three tops in the same area, it looks a little bit just concerning. It looks a little worse. I bring up the SPY chart, and I guess they look the same. I'm not getting bearish on the market, so I guess it's hard to get bearish IBM. So kind of looks like it could fall off a cliff, but I don't know. It's been a nice run for IBM too, from the 105 low up to 140. And I mean, the market's had a nice run too. I guess that's the argument on the other side, arguing against what I said earlier, is that we have had a good run and we could have some profit taking, but I still think we got an uptrend going here, and I still think that we're going to make new highs by June.
All right, I know we got a.
And if we're making new highs by June, IBM is probably going to be higher.
Yep, we do have a lunch bet. I'm glad I didn't upgrade the one on
an IBM.
No, lunch bet on new all-time high by June.
I have to new all-time
we got to get the June expiration on that one. I mentioned, all right, so Red Hat was only significant earnings after the close. Do you want to cover the spice company here, McCormick? I don't see how they make any money because we buy those.
It hasn't traded, so no, I don't want to cover it. Let's go Carnival Cruise Lines. It's trading down $1. We also had Chronos. CRON, which we can talk about too. Let's do Chronos first. It's exciting. You got that report in front of you, Joel?
Yeah, I will pull it up for you as we speak. Chronos fiscal year 2018 EPS. It was down from, I got Canadian here, 0.01%, 1 penny. Sales of 15.7 million, up 4 million from year over year. Let me see if I was just doing the initial headline. Let me see if the actual pro gives me some better numbers. I just had that the
revenue overall, Q4 revenue did grow 248% to 5.6 million, but that I believe is still
they don't make a lot of money, huh? That's no money. They don't make
none of these companies make money. I mean, that's why I don't own any of my portfolio, except the only one I do own is Aurora Cannabis, the only one that I do own. But I've always, it's tough. I mean, you're going after the growth. These aren't making money. These aren't money makers. Not yet. People are speculating they're going to eventually become that, though. But again, it's hard to fight the trend on these things. Charts are still all on uptrends. They've all had a hell of a run since January. A lot of these stocks have doubled. Some in the cases have even tripled. So, I mean, it's hard to get bearish these. This isn't a great report here either on Chronos. It's been trading down. Talk about the pre-market action. How low did this thing get?
You've been lower than this, but nowhere near the lows from yesterday. 1949 stands as your pre-market low.
That's pretty near 1930 low yesterday. So they're defending those lows from yesterday.
Well, the low on Friday, 1922 as well. 1930, the low from yesterday. I see another low at 19.5 from February 26. So back in the 20 handle, only trading down 42 cents here. Your close will be a good number if it starts to go into rally mode. 2053 was the close. The high from yesterday stands at 2110, but the next target on the upside, 2053, major support you got to call it that 1920, 1940. We'll just make it easy. We'll call it 1930. Let's move on to our next stock, Carnival.
Let's move on to imbalances. I want to go take a look at them. They're coming off hot off the press here. I've got a lot of positions on, so I'm interested in these as well.
Okay.
They're mixed here this morning, so nothing super big. Square 62,000 to buy. That's significant for Square, and Square is obviously trading up $1.15 with the overall market rally here this morning. It's always interesting to see if there's anything red. The Walmart does have 19,000 to sell. I am short Walmart because it's had the trend going. That's not significant though, so I'm not sure that's going to hold it down. Although the TLT going down usually doesn't help stocks like Walmart, which are a little bit more defensive in nature. Not that it's interest rate sensitive, but I've just noticed Walmart actually does move a little bit with some of the defensive stuff.
You're not going to call the open
small.
again? It's not going to be triple D, call the open off the imbalances like
no,
yesterday?
That was good yesterday though. So and on the show, it was so many sell imbalances, and we were trading up, and I was like, I don't get it. And I shorted on, I don't often make money when I'm making trades on the pre-market show itself, because I always say, cardinal rule to everyone, don't do a live radio show and try to trade stocks. I still do it to a certain extent. I've made 4 trades while I've been doing the radio show today, but those are usually exit positions. I don't usually put on new positions because I can't fully analyze something. I'm not that good at multitasking to do a live radio show and obviously trade at the same time. So it's sometimes difficult to do the analysis to enter a new position. I'll sometimes do it though, and yesterday I did. When I get a guest, I can obviously make a quick trade too if there's a guest, somebody else speaking. But I just shorted the SBY when we were up, 40 cents or something? What were we up, like 40, 50 cents?
I can't remember.
We're up like 20 cents, 20, 30 cents. But I was like, everything's looking like we're going to open red. Everything's to the sell amounts. And sure enough, at 9.20, 9.25, 9.30, we start coming right back in. So I covered the open, and I made 60 cents on the SPY on that trade.
That's
I mean, those are just edges. Nobody's reading, whoever's buying the market up there isn't reading the imbalance data on the individual stocks. When you get that many sells and they're that big, unless they're all, fake, which it can happen, but usually doesn't. I mean, because they punish that stuff at the SEC. So people typically don't put in fake orders unless they're, doing illegal stuff. It was probably going up and down. So that's what I did, and obviously made some money because of that. Today, there's no opportunity like that. I mean, we see a mixed market. We see the market trading up. We see some buy imbalances. I don't see any reason to say that this rally is going to fade here this morning.
Carnival, I'm not seeing the numbers out on Carnival Cruise Line yet here. Estimates stand at 44 cents. Estimated revenue is 4.31 billion. So we will wait. It looks, what is it doing? Trading a little bit weak in the pre-market here. You did.
Carnival sometimes comes out late though.
Yeah, someone hit it down to 55.05 for some reason.
I don't see the numbers either yet.
Yeah.
So what was that what happened to that cruise line yesterday that you were talking about? What, 26-foot waves or something? What's going on with that?
Viking Cruise Lines.
Where was this?
I don't know exactly where it was, but they got hit with 26-foot waves.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Well, some people got banged around on that. So they evacuated us, the people that were hurt. I think the other people had to stay on the ship. I think it was Viking Cruise.
26-foot waves.
Yeah. Man, oh
man. And that sounds incredible there. So that sounds scary if you're on these cruise lines there when we get waves up. I mean, these ships are huge. I guess they can take it, but probably a few broken dishes on that one, no?
Yeah, it sounds like there was.
Everybody okay?
I don't think there was any reported deaths, but they did have, there was probably like some broken legs or something, people flying around the ship with that kind of, with that kind of force. But, I looked yesterday and Carnival wasn't hit by this at all. It's trading down now. And I looked, RCL was down a little bit. I don't know, just not a big fan of cruises, but obviously a lot of people like to. I mean, they like to go, and how can you turn down that 24-hour buffet and like dessert at midnight? Oh man! All right, it is it's 8:34 here, and we're going to take a quick break. And are you going to bring them in? Okay, Chris is on the hop here. We're going to bring in Nic Chahine. He's the author of Create Income with Option Spreads. He joins our show every other Tuesday to talk about
I'm curious if Nick switches his hat every once in a while. Let's see if he's got the full other bear hat on. I'm curious here.
I think I know the answer to that one.
I know. What's the question? What's your question?
Okay, so I gave a bull rant here this morning. You got the bull or the bear hat on?
Oh, bull, for sure.
Oh, wow, he's on my side.
Should have went a launch on that one.
My argument this morning was Samsung Warren's last night, and people don't even talk about this. They talk about everything else. But Samsung Warren last night, 7 o'clock at night, they hit all the chip stocks down last night after hours between 7 and 8. And they come in this morning, it's like nothing happened, and they just bought them all right back up. Like Lam Research was down $3 last night off the Samsung news, right back up. And I'm like, this is not signs of a bear market, when they're coming in, shrugging up bad news from Samsung.
I agree. I'm long WDC. It's a trade I got into. I sold puts in it on dips. And recently, the Friday tizzy, I think, had to do more with the Mueller report. Big money definitely had the drop on us, and they just didn't know what was going to happen over the weekend. I bet you anything. Because yesterday, if it was fears of the inversion yield curve, first of all, the yield curve didn't invert. Forever, CNBC covers the 10s to 2s, and suddenly they decided to change it up to the 3. So 3 months. And so, oh my God, it inverted. Well,
you need headlines now.
You just changed your measuring tape and you said this thing got shorter. So it's just weird.
They need headlines.
And yesterday, in fact, we had a huge spike in the curve. So if that was the fear, then we should have been green yesterday, like strongly green, not just, a nice close. So it's all noise.
Yeah, I think it's all noise too. I just read the price action, and there's just nothing in the price action. I look at that S&P chart, and you got the chart in your back pocket, and you'll have that one for sure. I don't see anything, other than a little healthy pullback here. I mean, I saw a headline yesterday morning. I've said this a couple times on the show already. Barron's had this headline: Dow futures down 40, pointing to a recession. I was like, what are you talking about? We're down 40 points on the Dow. This was yesterday morning. First of all, that's a blip. Second thing, just because you get a 400-point down day the day before doesn't mean we have a pending recession. Yeah. Some of this is just a healthy pullback. We're up 20% this year. I mean, let's put it in perspective. This is a pullback.
Right. It's just levels. I was interested in seeing what we do around the 27.93, 27.88, maybe down to 70. That was like a nice zone of support. But we barely spent any time there, and we immediately jumped right back to the line that is in the sand for me, which is 28.22 to 25. We did clear it once. I think we will clear it again, short of a new headline. Obviously that I shorted VXXV on the spike, and I shorted, which is probably crazy, the bond market with a credit call spread there. So I'm not buying it for now. And, there are some longs. There's some upside potential in the small caps.
Yeah.
I'm reading the open interest. There's some upside pressure. And by the way, we came into this dip Friday with a lot of downside pressure in the open interest. So there were a lot of trades to fix from the market maker's perspective. So the whoosh down just lets them get out of the positions and hand it over to the retail who buy puts in panic.
All right.
So you're keeping the bull hat on then?
For now. I mean, nothing changed in my charts.
We can change. Me and Nick are allowed to change. And like I said, I wish I had the bull and the bear. And somebody's going to eventually buy me the hats, and you can just see in the morning, because I am a trader and I will switch my opinion. But as of right now, and probably for the last 4 weeks here, I've had the bull hat on, at least, maybe more than that.
Well, then you're making money.
I make money. One thing though with my strategies is I make money as long as the market's moving, because I'm doing stat herb. So, when I come on the show, people want to hear calls. They want to think what I'm doing. I'll tell you a lot, and yes, I do some swing trades, and yes, I do make calls. And I mean, everything is a call to a certain extent. But a lot of stuff that I'm doing is statistical arbitrage, where I'm looking at relationships between stocks and trying to extract 0.1% here, 0.1% here, making my 100 trades a day and just moving stuff in and out. So it's fairly consistent. It's little things like, for instance, this morning, like BBT catches an upgrade. Well, STI is getting taken over, so I was able to buy some STI last night. Not a lot, but when you can buy it, it's probably going to trade up on the BBT upgrade because it's getting taken over. It's just understanding, and that's risk arbitrage. So that's not even stat arb. That's flat out risk arbitrage. So I mean, there's just different things. Like there's all those little tools in my toolbox. I probably employ a couple dozen strategies on any given day, and there's little statistical edges in there. They're not huge, but if you employ enough of them over time, they work. And I know you've got a lot of little tools and little statistical edges as well that you're employing. And if you employ them enough, in the long run, you make money, right?
Yep. As long as you stick to your rules.
That's it. You got to stick to the rules. And I sometimes we break the rules, and those are the ones I usually lose a lot of money on.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, we got some stocks here in the chat for you to analyze. And so I'm not sure who it was. Brett Kelly. He has a couple NVDA puts in NVIDIA trading up $4.32. I would say,
Hopefully you sold the put.
yeah, hopefully you sold the puts. I see yesterday's high perhaps coming into play. 178.45 really opens up on the upside here. But could you tell me what you think of NVIDIA?
I would be long, not short NVIDIA.
Okay.
It's obviously a momentum stock and anything can happen, but I see a tightening range. And I think yesterday, I don't think I had a conversation with a friend of mine who was very, very good. And she saw something really good in the technicals, and she said she was long NVIDIA, and not a huge position. So I definitely would not be on the short side of that one.
Okay. All right. Also, in the chat here, we'll let you analyze a mover for you. Roku. I think some people are expecting it to get hit off Apple report. I don't want to get you going on the Apple, but I will.
Oh, no. That's okay.
Roku. What's your thoughts on Roku?
So Roku, in theory, it should benefit from more people streaming, right? Because of the way I understand Roku's business model, they're the pipes that deliver the content, and they don't care who has it. But this is a company, it sounds young, but they've been in business for 16 years. I'm going to tick off some people here of Roku fans, and they still lose money after 16 years. So I'm not sure where the excitement is over Roku. I don't want to short a momentum stock. These tend to run fast in both directions, so it makes them hard to trade, because on the way up, they look like they're about to collapse, and on the way down, they're going to zero. So I would trade the ranges. I don't know where it's at this morning, probably up a little bit on the Apple thing yesterday. So there might be a technical opportunity. Let me see if I can pin it down. Let me go down to...
Okay. It's been kind of quiet lately here. It looks like, it's trading up a stick. I see 69.72 is your next daily high that comes into play.
I think 69.02 would probably be more important, because that was the last fail, just yesterday. So if is it up above 69 already this morning?
No, 68. It's not. Yeah, 67.91.
So this is a case where I would watch it today, and I would put a trigger alert to tell me, hey, it's approaching 69. What do you want to do with it? There is a gap up to 70.55. From not too long ago, 13th of March. So this would be one level, and then I'll probably set a level below the lows of yesterday to say, okay, this might be going down to 62.5 or so. So I would just play it level to level. Right here is at the point of interest around 67 for the last few weeks. So both bulls and bears agree that it's somewhat of a fair value around here. So it's somewhat of a sticky situation, and any breakout from it would probably have legs in that direction. So I would put an alert at 69 and change and below yesterday's.
And so the alert is just for you to look at it, right? It's not for you to pull a trigger on a trade. It's just an alert, the price action here. You observe it for 10, 15 minutes and then move on, or will you put a trade on?
Well, I would put an alert, and whenever that alert happens, I would see if I need it in my portfolio. So the alert is to tell me, hey, it's breaking out. You said to tell you. And there might be a trade there to follow it momentum-wise. And if I have enough room in my portfolio for it at the time it happens, then I may just chase it with calls or something.
We're on the line with Nic Chahine. He's the author of Create Income with Option Spreads. Nick, more symbols coming for you. Interesting chart here. Marvel Tech, MRVL. It's had a nice little run up. Bad day on Friday, along with the rest of the market, trading down 13 cents. I don't see any major news on this one. Lower price stocks. Wow. Any thoughts on Marvel Tech?
Is this the Marvel? No.
No, Captain Marvel?
Yeah. No. So it is, again, this is close to the point of interest. So from a volume profile, it makes sense where it's at. But just like the other stock, it has a wide range. I mean, I see it from just in March at 18 and change and at 21. So somewhere in the middle lies the truth, and that's where it's at. So if there's an event coming, then I would probably play that event and just make a guess. Otherwise, I would play the fundamentals and the technicals. So fundamentally, if it makes sense for you, there's a move coming after a big range coming to a pinpoint like that. And if I were to put trigger alerts, I would put one at 1960 and one at somewhere 1980. And a move beyond that should have momentum in that direction. And then exit points will be based on what happened before that. But it looks like it fell pretty hard off of the 21 level. So you might have, I don't know what happened. Was it something fundamental? So you have to know what happened to see if it's going to price it out back up fast, or was there real reason not to be up there, and perhaps the downside makes more sense. So
I like this one though. I got a number on this one. You had a move from basically from 18 to 21. Boom, 50% retracement of this move off 18 is 1950. A low yesterday at 1965. A low the following day at Monday at 1941. Not exactly bolting out of this area, but a pair of matching closes here too. So 1950 is my level of interest here in Marvel Tech. PayPal over $100 here. Not sure if it was affected much by the Apple Pay yesterday or what they're entering that market. But the only thing I see here, PayPal, is potential double top in a 104 handle, but too early to call that. Nick, your thoughts on PYPL?
Double top. I'm not sure.
No. I mean 104, 104.56. Maybe someone's trying to wiggle out of some stock in a 104 handle. That's the only reason. I mean, very, very tentative double top.
I like the sector. I call them transactors. It's up 30 something off of the December lows, and so it has momentum. It kind of had some sort of an ABC move from 88 to 104. So a little dip is okay. Here's the thing: if the markets are higher in the future, I think this one will be higher. And they are considered banks kind of only when banks are rallying, and when banks fall, maybe they fall a little bit, but then they still trade on their own. So I like it, Square, Visa, and MasterCard. In fact, Visa popped on my screen yesterday, so I wouldn't short PayPal. I would use the dips to go long if I'm not long it. Obviously, if the market's correct, then it will fall because it's so high right now. Valuation, it's kind of on the expensive side, nowhere near as expensive as Square, I don't think, but more expensive than Visa and MasterCard. The last time I checked. So if it holds this recent low of 100-ish, then it probably will make another leg higher, assuming the markets are okay. Otherwise, it can fall to 98 and I'm still be okay with it.
All right. Another stock. I'll just give a quick story on this one here. Tenneco Automotive. Actually, that bought Monroe shock absorbers. Remember America Rides Monroe? Remember that?
No.
That you don't remember that? Dennis, help me out. You remember that? America Rides Monroe? Shock absorbers?
Oh, you're dating yourself again.
Come on, I had a T-shirt.
We weren't all around in the 19th century.
Oh my gosh.
I had a T-shirt. I had a T-shirt for our swim team, and in the back, instead of like a spine, it had like a shock absorber. Do we fade out?
I don't know this. Not because I'm not
Frank
that old.
Frank does, because he's
Frank's
Frank's from Trenton. All right. This is one of the ugliest charts, Nick. TEN.
Yeah, I mean, I have to go to a yearly chart almost to see what's going on. There's nothing to say. It's a new low. I mean, where do you draw the line? I think this was a level where is it this morning?
Well, it's trading up 5 cents at 22.57.
Okay. So these are levels from 2010. So you have to go back there and see what the heck's going on. So unless you know the company, I mean, catching a falling machete like this, there's no floor to it here that you can discern. Technically speaking, maybe a monthly chart will give you an idea that, okay, last time it was around 22.50, it held. Below that, there is a 1935, let's say, I'll call it 1950, another pivot level. So you can't discern anything except from the really long-term chart. So this would be my call on this one. Do some homework and find out what the heck is going on.
Okay. All right. Nike, NKE. What do you think of this one?
So Nike, everybody loved it. Everybody had to it reminded me on the way up, like in video at 290, where you have to have it in your portfolio. They're all in the right places. And I hear things, it's a technology company. just because they use technology, that doesn't make them a technology company. It's I thought that was a ridiculous statement. It's a good company. I mean, they are the gorilla, the beat, and they've overcome so much. And yesterday it fell on a ridiculous headline. I thought if I was long, I'd probably add. So it was a trading opportunity for sure, because of a liar who accused them, who tried to take money out of him illegally. Now you're going to sell the stock because maybe it did something wrong with I mean, who doesn't believe that they already do something wrong with paying players? So I thought it was ridiculous. Now, technically speaking, this dip was fine. It had a big rally of late off of the 2 earnings ago. The earnings report was somewhat of a letdown because it was priced for perfection. There is a cluster of prices around 80. So even if it falls down to 80, I'm still okay. There's just maybe a gap, maybe not, down to 79. But anyway, it's falling back into a cluster of volume profile where it tells me that it could have support, because this was resistance until it broke out of them in January, end of January, in February. So could be a trading opportunity, but it's a market call type of a deal. Short term. If I'm in it for the long term, I'll probably buy it and just stick with it because it's going to be a winner in the long term.
Cramer effect on this one this morning on Mad Money last night. Jim Cramer did a segment on Nike and said this is an opportunity, this dip to buy. And he actually, I've never seen him say stuff like this, but he said, go out tomorrow morning and buy it. Just do it. He used that Nike thing. So Nike, when he said that, it's one thing that he's bullish something, but he flat out said, go out and buy it tomorrow morning, just do it. So he was flat out bullish this, and that's why it's up $1 this morning, more in the market, because it ran up 70 cents when he said that last night.
Okay, so I think heard him say that about Zuo, whatever, the Zuora.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
Yeah, last night he was bullish that one too. He was in a real buy. He did say that last night too on Zebra UO. Wasn't it last night? I think it was.
Yeah, I've recently
similar. He didn't say just do it as he used the Nike. It was kind of funny that he said.
Oh yeah, that's good.
But he said he did say last night. He said some caller called in about this one. He says this is an opportunity, and he says I want you to buy this one too. He said to the caller. So and it's going to trade up on that too. When Kramer's that bullish on something, he moves it.
Well, the technicals agree with him because this has been the range around $80, 80 and a half has been a pivot point for a while. They fought over it last June, and then they broke out from it. They fought over it back in October, and then we had the market correction in October, and we fell into the December lows. On the way up, we held a cluster there at the end of January and sprang from it. And here we're falling back into it. So obviously it's a pivot zone. So bulls and bears are going to fight it out. And on the way down, it's usually support. So if the markets don't have a tizzy here this week, Nike should be higher. And it's got a big gap up top. So in the long run, it's going to price it out. So I would sell puts, buy calls, or whatever.
How about the Spider? Smart money put Spider in 3-4 times. So could you do a Spider chart for us? Give us some
Spider.
SPY.
I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean Spider?
SPY, the spiders, SPY.
Oh, okay. Because I thought Spider was at the ETF. Okay.
I got you. Okay.
I'm long the markets. I sold put spreads, and I'm long the IWM actually because something I saw yesterday. And let's see, I wouldn't buy puts and hold it. I did have a couple of puts as protection for Tuesday. For the 27th expiration, and I got rid of them yesterday because I didn't feel like I needed them anymore. They are at a point of control for recent price action, so it should be magnetic. So we will need a reason to fall from here, in my opinion. Anything below 277.5 needs a reason. So by default, the move up is more likely than down. So if you take headlines out, I'd say we creep up, then a whoosh down. So alone, I don't think the SPY will fall, but there is an opportunity as far as a tightening range, and above 280, it might invite more buyers.
I'm looking at the break that you had and the rebound in the June, the front month contract. We went from 28.66 down to the low from yesterday was 27.89.50, 76-point tumble. 50% takes you back up to 27.27. I also have a weekly swing number there at 27.27. So boom. For me, I would just, based off this break that we had last week and the rebound, like to see us clear 27.30 on a closing basis, and then that would confirm to me a move up to 28.66. Nick, we're keeping you a long time. We're going to do one more stock, and we're going to, for Steve Roberts in the YouTube chat, we're going to do Intel.
Okay, so I heard some good stuff from the media yesterday on Intel. The chip sector is violent and it moves in unison. I don't know if I'd want to own it from a momentum perspective because it's not the one that is blessed these days. So AMD would probably be the one. So if Intel is rallying, most likely AMD is also rallying. So I like the company. It wouldn't be my momentum trade.
It's going to move slower. Its beta is going to be half of what AMD is. So it all depends. Like Intel's one of the biggest positions in my long-term portfolio because I like risk. So my style is like Intel. I get a nice little dividend, and I still think chips are still. I think you're going to see. I think you'll see both of those are probably going to be higher going forward. So I like them both, but I'm just more conservative guy.
If I wanted to own Intel, I would sell puts on the weekly basis in it, really tight puts. So if I'm put the stock,
good way to play it.
Otherwise, I'm making money every week.
Yeah, like you turn around, probably sell the 50s, go out a little bit, get $1 for that or something, eh?
Yeah. So if I get put the stock, so be it. Then you can either sell it or keep it or sell calls against it. But this is the way I would probably trade Intel.
All right, one last one, just because it's such a storied stock here. You dipping your toe in Biogen yet?
No, because I don't understand what it has left. This was something that apparently the whole sector knew that, hey, what are you guys are doing? You're putting false hope, but not intentionally. Everybody's rooting for it. I can't imagine anybody in all good faith shorting a stock like this because you're basically shorting finding a cure for something. So I don't know enough about it to catch the falling knife. So I did try to catch the falling knife by selling puts in the IBB, and they went red on me because we had that Friday tizzy. But I will come out of it okay. So I went long bib by being long the IBB because it's about 7% of the ETF, I think, last time I checked.
All right, we've been on the line with Nic Chahine. He's the author of Create Income with Option Spread. Joins our show every other Tuesday to share his vast fundamental and technical knowledge on the markets. Nick, thank you very much. We'll be speaking to you again soon.
Looking forward to it. Thanks.
Okay. Roberto Wilco is asking about Apple here. We did cover Apple earlier in the show.
Cover it twice. It's up enough to warrant covering it twice.
Okay.
I still got long term. I think it was a dip. It was a buying opportunity there yesterday. I don't know. Now you're 191, so you're like 5-6 points off the low from yesterday. You're also 5-6 points off the high from the day before. So you're kind of in the middle of nowhere. I think I don't know. If I was trading this, I think I'd want to try to get back in the 180s. I don't think I'd pay up to 192 this morning.
I got a level of interest here. Yesterday's high, 191.98. We hit that off the open. We had about let's just call it a 10-point dip, a little bit less, 86.60 to 98. So 10.5, but you do half of that retracement, whatever way you crack it up, it comes into like 192, 192.50. You have yesterday's high right here at 191.98. So that's what I'd be looking at because there's really nothing to lean on here if you're shorting this thing. If you're looking at the high close of the rebound, 195.09. So figure your 50% retracement. That's the area you want to get to. Above and hold. And shoot, we forgot to ask Nick about Apple and the Apple event. Dennis, we got 2 minutes left here. We got a few more coming out of the chat here, and
throw them out there.
Boeing sewing again, up $4 here, 384.
Held on.
It did.
Hold on. It has not won, and 45,000 shares to buy here this morning is going to push it up, and I'm not surprised. Actually, 45,000 to buy is pretty significant for a $374 stock. So it's up $3.99 here this morning. I didn't go and look at the book to see exactly. Sometimes you can see where these orders are, but it's actually a pretty good move. Usually Boeing will trade right now, at least with a beta of like at least twice the market. So I'm not surprised that Boeing's trading up 1% with the market up 0.5%. But here's a stock that just refuses to go down. We've had a few more bad headlines from it. So I'm going to say, people are trying to buy the dip down here, and they've been successful so far. As long as it holds 360, maybe it is going to be a dip to buy. I just get worried they get one headline really bad when it knocks it down. But we had a couple bad headlines and it didn't really knock it down. So it looks like the bulls, the people who are buying, in the dip here at 360 are winning so far.
Facebook here. This is interesting. Man, it's been in a trading range 160 up to the upper 170, I think like 174, but just hanging out in the middle here. So I think you're up 69 cents today in the pre-market. Cheap, on a PE basis. I guess I'd like to see it clear 167.42. The reason for that is you had another high on the 15th at 167.58. So that's your 50% retracement of this whole area. So yeah, above 167.5, I like it. The only thing, until it takes out the lower 159, you had 59.59 as the low of the move, and then just nicked it last week when it went to 59.28.
Had a couple stops there, and then it's just right back up.
Yep.
As long as it holds that low, that 159.28, bulls are still in charge.
All right, 9 o'clock here. We are going to wrap things up for today's show. S&Ps are going off the board up 12 points here, 28.19. Your pre-market high stands at 23.75. As I mentioned, you have a weekly level and a retracement level here just under 28.30. So that's the gateway to going back up to that 28.66 high. We're going to wrap things up. Hope everyone enjoyed the show. I think we did okay without Spencer. I think Chris did a great job.
Yeah, no, I don't think any gremlins.
No break, no gremlins, just an hour of stock talk. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Power hour.
Yep. I hope you enjoyed the show, and back with you tomorrow morning.